So obviously I'm not making any kind of a step-by-step tutorial or anything. This is just trying to give some updates as we move along. So yeah, I think the last update, the wall was already in. I've got some of the equipment mounted, the small inverters wired up, ready to be wired down here to the Lynx distributor, where all the power is going to be passing through back and forth, charging and or drawing. That's the solar charger. Of course, again, the distribution panel for AC on the left, DC on the right. And then over here we've got, that's the shelf for the Wi-Fi router, which hopefully will work. No guarantees yet. Then again, down here we've got the DC to DC charger, the Orion. While I'm driving, I can optionally I can charge my battery bank back here from the alternator and battery charge up front. We'll see. It's nominal. I mean, I'd have to have 2 of those units installed in order to really make a big difference, but it'll be like a trickle charge. It'll be more than a trickle charge, but still not a whole lot of charge. And there's going to be a my shut-off switch, shut-off breaker is going to go there for the solar PV system. And again, we have the different outlets over there. So we're getting there. Just got to do a lot of stripping wire, cutting, stripping, ferrules and or rings to be crimped, and then we hook things up, and then I'll get the battery bank. I mean the batteries, 2 batteries. Their box has got to be put right here, and then the big unit. Those are air holes only. That's all those holes are for, is air circulation. The big inverter charger, the Multi Plus 2, will go there. Getting there. So we're getting the beginnings of things connected. The smaller inverter, the Phoenix, that's a Phoenix 12375. Its positive and negative lines are connected there on the left. We have the solar charger, the MPPT 150-100. We have its positive and negative lines connected to the Lynx. We have the DC panel, which is just up here. The DC panel, we have its positive and negative connected down here as well to Lynx. And the DC to DC Orion unit over here for charging from the alternator and battery when I'm running and driving the van. We're looking at having to run those lines down to the end of the right end of the Lynx. I'm going to have to use this MRBF fuse block with a 60 amp MRBF fuse. I got to tag that on at the end of the positive bus bar up there, and then we'll have the negative line down at the bottom. But along with everything else here, I'm thinking, of course, a lot of this stuff's going to be covered up, but still, I'm thinking there's an awful lot of electrical connections that'll still be exposed, and all this is in my living space. So I'm thinking, what are some ways I can cover some of these connections and do it safely? I did find a wire cover for my charger, my MPPT 150-100 solar charger. I'll be putting that on. In fact, this is the base, the metal bracket for that cover. I would suggest one thing about the manufacturer. I would have been nice if they would have rolled this edge right here. Yeah, you can't see it, but it's a cable support for cables coming straight out. My cables are coming from the wall, curving around, and this is just a straight metal edge, which is okay, but I'll probably put some tape or build up some tape, make it more rounded surface, so as the cable comes around, it's pressed against it. There won't be a lot of pressure, hopefully, on the cable as far as a straight edge. Anyway, back to the BMV 712 Smart Shunt, which is smarter than me. I was wanting to cover up these connection terminals. I'll work on an idea here, we'll see. But I searched the internet and finally found from far out. Let's see, here we go. Yeah, give them a little plug here. FarOutRide.com apparently is a website for Antoine and Isabella. I don't see the last names, but anyway, I'm sure I'm way past the time. They've finished all this. They've put a lot of videos online. But anyway, so what I did was I found finally a cover for the Victron B&V Smart Shunt. You know, these two pieces here. So I'll unscrew the screws here, put the cover frame on, and see if we go from there. It's gonna be tight because I am going to have a copper bar extension just from here to here, and so it should still work because that's just pressure tension attachment to the two terminal bolts. So, but very nice cover designed specifically for that shunt. Alright, so I've finished making this is going to be the negative cable for the Multi-Plus 2, the ground cable for the Multi-Plus 2, the power cable for the Multi-Plus 2. This is 4-aught cable. It can be extremely time consuming building all these cables, especially these large guys. But anyway, with all the lugs and the heat shrink. Of course, one of my struggles has been my wire cutters. At first they were cutting my 4-aught cables, now they're not. So I guess they are getting dull. I mean, it took forever and ever and ever to get these cables cut. I've got well over a dozen more of these 4-aught cable connections to make with lugs and heat shrink. So I'm gonna need some more. Find another way to cut the cable faster. Also, building these cables, I've been using this nice little hammer crimper with the C-clamp method, because all the videos I watched said they just shook their heads like trying to use this the way it's designed to be used, which is as a hammer clamper. You put your lugs in here, put that down, then you hammer this part. They've all said it just wasn't efficient or it took too much time, whatever. Well, my experience is it's the exact opposite. This method is extremely time consuming, because it's even if you put your cable in another clamp to hold the cable, and you put this on the lug end, on the lug, it takes forever getting this and this balanced on each end of this thing so it won't slip. And once you get it balanced where it won't slip and you start tightening it, it's ridiculously painful on your hands after you've done, 4, 6, 8 of these things. So I'm going to build a little platform for this guy so I can bolt it onto a little piece of wood that I can, carry into the van or work on in here in the garage. I'm going to try the hammer method. Try using this the way it's designed to be used. See how that goes. Okay, so I slapped together this, I took some scrap wood, and I slapped together this this platform so I could bolt on the hammer crimper. And we will hope and pray that this will work. But basically, again, the way it works is you just put your cable lug in there, this comes down, and then you hammer on top of this, and it's supposed to put a nice deep enough dimple pressure on the cable to hold the lug in place. So I'm hoping this will be actually easier and faster than the C-clamp method I've been trying. Okay, I just got all the cables connected to the Lynx distributor. I got all the multi-plus cables, the ground cable, the negative and positive cables finally. This is, again, the smart shunt over here, which is not finished yet. Of course, I haven't set up the batteries yet in the battery box. The cutoff switch is set up with its copper bar as well, and the shunt of this copper bar there. So they're connected. Again, that's temporary just for sizing, and I'll disconnect the switch so I can hook up the battery run cables. Of course, right now I'm putting together the cutoff switch for the PV solar array incoming line from the solar panels, and this is just a feed line to help me pull my cables from this cutoff breaker switch out to the input here at the MPPT, my 150-100 solar charger. Okay, moving on. As much time and labor as it's taken to put this system together, to wire it all together, make all the wire connections, and lots of time, lots and lots of time to do this. Of course, more than I ever imagined. But as much time as it's taken, the big question still remains: will it work? Did I screw a connection too tight? Did I break something by screwing a connection too tight? So I've just made things firm, and hopefully all the connections are solid, firm, unbroken, and will work when we get the batteries in place and connected. Because right now all this is connected. The last connections to be made again are now here at finishing the AC in and out for the Multi-Plus 2. And then all the battery connections from the main switch, main fuse, the smart shunt back. So all back to the batteries, which will be sitting in this area. Okay, it is late, and but I wanted to at least get the basic framework for the battery box done. Battery bank boxes for the 2 big batteries. I'm kind of designing as I go because I need to make it, the front board, which is obviously not in place right now. I want to make it so it's a bolt-on. So once the batteries are in place, if or when the time comes that the batteries have to be taken out, exchanged, whatever, hopefully never, quite frankly, for the life of this van. But if it should happen, then all I got to do is, lift the bed up, move some storage crates out of the way, and then unbolt that front board and I can take the batteries out. That's the plan. But for now, I'm about to put the batteries in place. I don't know if you can see, it's kind of dark, but these are some rather large lead time batteries, and they weigh about 85 pounds a piece. I did do a dry test to make sure the batteries fit. It's snug, which is good, because each of these are 85 pounds. I don't need 85 pounds of airborne something, you know, if I stop suddenly, I have to stop suddenly. So anyway, so again, the straps, they're taped up out of the way right now. When the front board is bolted on, there will be, I'm going to have, you know, the buckle part of the strap will be on this part. Anyway, so right now I'm putting in this absorbent matting, vibration absorbent matting, and then we'll put the batteries in and we'll go from there. So, starting to get these little cables cut out for the battery hookup. Just thought I'd show this. You know, this is the end of the cable. I mutilated it with my regular hand cable cutters, and I was getting worn out because I'd already done all these other 4-aught connections. And I was like, this is crazy. So, found this online, of course, Amazon, ratcheting heavy-duty large cable cutters. You can spend anywhere from, I got this one for $28. It's cheap because I'm not a professional electrician. I don't do this full time. This is a one-time project. But the reviews for this at this price were really good reviews overall. So you can spend all the way up to $165, I think, for a professional version of these. But anyway, so you just kind of do this. You release the blade. You pull the blade around. I thought I'm going to trim off this mutilated end and just show how easy this is. It's amazing. I guess I'll trim off a little bit like that. And then you just start going. And the pressure, if you've ever had those hand exercisers, those spring hand grip exercisers, this is not even that difficult. It's not that much pressure to do this. So you just start going. That might have been inaccurate. I'm going to say it might be a hair more than one of those spring hand exercises, maybe. But still, the point is, it gets the job done. Now that is a nice, neat, clean cut. I love it. So much easier.